So are you a slave to their system? All institutions, governments and religions are immoral and criminal, because they force everyone, under threat of violence, to pay mandatory taxes. For life, there are hundreds of taxes, from property tax to income tax, even inherited tax. You must pay them all, or else the government will use its power and the force of its machinery and sorcery to seize your bank account, to shut you down, or arrest you, and put you in jail, where you face imprisonment until you comply. How is that any different than the mafia? Governments demand that you pay your dues regularly. If you do, they promise to keep you safe and protected. But if you don't, government agents will come to shake you down, or to put you away. If taxes were voluntary, then governments wouldn't automatically be immoral or criminal, because they would be completely funded by donations. Thus their very existence is limited by volunteerism. Name one thing that governments provide. Anything you could think of. Well, those are all things the people could do better and easier and more efficiently, at the community level. There is nowhere on earth you can go that isn't controlled by a statist government. Every piece of land has been divided up and claimed by 196 nations, all of which are controlled by some form of forced governance. There is nowhere left on earth that is sovereign, where freedom-loving individuals can go and live freely, without a mafia-style government forcing them to pay taxes and obey their laws. All current forms of government initiate and mandate violence and slavery upon their populations. We are all slaves to our governments, because every nation forces under the threat of violence and kidnapping that you must pay them a percentage of your income. So if the definition of slavery is forcibly taking 100% ownership of someone's income over them, what is it called then when governments forcibly take 30% of someone's income over them? Well, is that still not slavery? We are taught in school that slavery ended long ago, and it's universally understood that slavery is immoral. But if governments are still forcibly taking even 1% of their population's income, is that not still slavery? Even at 1% it's still slavery and it's immoral. Their power over you is mind control. Do you not know the word govern comes from the Latin verb gubernus, which means to control, and the word ment is a Latin noun, and its very meaning is the mind. So when you put those two Latin words together you get the words gubernus, ment. Translate that to English and you get government. So then, now you see, the very root definition of the word government means mind control. And the vast majority of peoples worldwide are absolutely mind controlled by their governments, media, and education systems into believing that their statist government is a moral and altruistic institution that exists for the benefit of the people. The reality is of course quite the opposite. The real reality is that all nations are more like open-air slave plantations, allowing their servant populations to choose their occupations, giving them the illusion of freedom, and then swooping in on payday to steal the fruits of your labor. This is why all governments are criminal and immoral. And the one and only system of just governance is the Creator's kingdom. There is no political solution to the problem of government. Voting for a new ceremonial figurehead every couple of years has never, will never, and could never create any significant lasting positive change, because your governments cannot be improved. Neither can they be made moral from within. None of them represent the rights of the individual. 100% of governments worldwide initiate the use of violence through the form of police, and bullying you through the form of taxes. which is absolutely immoral and unacceptable. Just like consensual sex, because it is voluntary, is moral, whereas rape is forced, so therefore it is immoral. Similarly, things like charity, donations, and the free market are voluntary, therefore are moral, whereas theft and taxation are forced, therefore are immoral. The root problem festering within all governments is not the corruption or criminality, or even the abuse of power. Those are all but merely symptoms and side effects of something much worse called evil. The paramount problem with governments is that their mandates are mandatory, and their compulsions are compulsory. For your governments and religions to be moral institutions, all the taxes and interactions with the people would need to be made voluntary. If governments were honestly in existence for the benefit of the people, then they would be voluntary, and not use violence against the people. Another world is possible, with a non-violent society, aware, enlightened, and capable, without the need for statist governance, connected to the Creator, in harmony with God's natural law. No handlers, no slaves, in the Father's kingdom. That is freedom, 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 freedom.